Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Dr. Pundit, where we talk about music, not medicine. And this is another current events show. The current event being something that happened last night on New Year's Eve as part of the New Year's Eve celebrations on TV. I'm talking about the Dick Clark New Year's Rockin' Eve celebration. Among the many musical guests there was Alanis Morissette. And that performance really stood out to me because she not only looks fantastic, she is about to become relevant again. Not that she was irrelevant, but you know what I mean. The album from which the song she sang last night on the New Year's Eve show, Ironic, that song is from the album Jagged Little Pill, the influential 1995 album that won her Album of the Year at the 1996 Grammys and basically established her as a household name. Alanis Morissette was on TV last night performing Ironic. She posted a little snippet to her Instagram account, which we'll watch in just a second. And I have to say, it was great seeing that. And I listen to this album every year, maybe once every year and a half or whatever. Don't play the whole thing, but I do play Ironic. And when I saw that, I said, yes, she is just announcing to the world, basically, this album is about to celebrate its 30th anniversary in 2025, and I'm kicking things off right now with this New Year's Eve celebration and rendition of the track. And it's a great song, and it made for a great performance, and I had to just really kind of talk about it before we launch into it in a couple minutes here. Alanis Morissette, one of the 1990s seminal artists, she had come out with a couple of albums beforehand, Alanis, and another album called Now Is the Time, which sounded nothing like her breakthrough Jagged Little Pill. And Jagged Little Pill, I didn't know anything about Alanis. I guess people who were in Canada knew about those other two albums. And of course, Jagged Little Pill, under the production work of Glenn Ballard, of course, changed her focus, her spotlight, and reestablished her and rebranded her in terms of her artistry and genre, going from pop dance to, pop rock, and reestablishing her in Canada, her native Canada, but establishing her as a force to be reckoned with in the United States. And let's just get into it now. Her rendition of her number 4 hit in this country of the track Ironic from her stellar Jagged Little Pill album that will be celebrating its 30th anniversary this year, 2025. This show is being taped on New Year's Day, and I can't wait to see the festivities. Let's get into it. So, of course, Alanis Morissette released Jagged Little Pill on June 13th, 1995, and went all the way to number 1 in multiple countries, including her native Canada, of course, the US, Australia, and the UK. And the album, of course, produced 6 airplay and physical singles and yielded the top 10 hits. Ironic hit number 4. You Ought to Know, You Learn, those tracks hit number 6. Just a great album. Influential, and she performed that track last night. Now, Jagged Little Pill also netted Alanis Morissette 5 Grammy Awards, of course, winning Album of the Year in 1995, 1996 at the ceremonies there, and Best Rock Album. This made her the youngest artist ever to win Album of the Year at that time, and the album also made her the first artist to receive a Double Diamond Award from Music Canada. Now, to date, she has sold about 17.5 million copies of that album here in the United States. But Jagged Little Pill was more than just a hit record. It's a collection of songs that really have stood the test of time. Ironic, You Ought to Know, You Learn, of course, remain favorites of fans of all ages. And it's safe to say that if one of those songs plays in a room full of people old enough to have heard those songs in the 90s, well, most of them probably still know the words and will happily sing along, as you saw a little bit in the video there. Now, Alanis' first two albums, Alanis and Now Is the Time, yes, she did release two albums before, Jagged Little Pill. They are decidedly on a dance pop beat, nothing like the album that changed her life and pretty much charted the rest of her career did, like Jagged Little Pill. That album was the product of her writing and talent and the production of Glenn Ballard, who really just, could be credited with shaping her career from that point onward. Jagged Little Pill also saw a change in how the Canadian-American singer-songwriter branded herself, and she started using her full name, whereas on the first two albums we discussed earlier, she just used her first name, Alanis. Now, if you're a lot of people like me who live in this country, we had only known of her by her full name, Alanis Morissette, but yes, those first couple of dance pop albums, it was simply Alanis. And it seems trite to say that writing an album of such magnitude and weight and emotion was somewhat of a catharsis for the artist, but it really was for Alanis Morissette. And one can hear the vulnerability and honesty that allowed her to basically connect with countless fans across the world. And many of those fans are still listening today and will be basically tuned in to see her last night performing Ironic at New Year's Rockin' Eve at the end of 2024. And it was just fantastic. It's a great album. I still play it every year. Not the whole thing, but a few tracks. And of course, Ironic is always one of them, just like I'll repeat it right now. Going into the bridge, it's like the best part of the song. The arrangement, just fantastic. I had to play it again. I'm Michael Douglas, and if you like what you see here on the channel, Dr. Pundit, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe, and allows people who don't yet have the goods on this channel, like you do, to finally get those goods and watch the channel and hopefully subscribe and push it out more. And of course, as the late great Barry White always used to say, let the music play, and I'll see you on the next episode.